63,000 public employees across Florida have had their labor unions decertified and closed down by the state since a sweeping anti-union law went into effect last year. WLRN Public Radio reports 54 public sector unions statewide have been legally terminated because they do not meet requirements of the new state law. The blow to labor in Florida has affected workers' ability to collectively bargain in every corner of the state. Everyone from municipal employees of the small city of Defuniak Springs in the Florida Panhandle to custodial staff and adjunct professors at large state universities. And Orlando airport workers have lost their union representation. Senate Bill 256 passed in 2023 and was signed by Governor DeSantis. It requires public labor unions in Florida to have at least 60% of members paying dues in order for a union to be recognized. Previously, there was no dues threshold for the vast majority of public sector unions. The new law also bans government employers from deducting union dues from workers' paychecks. Police and firefighters unions are exempt from the new state law. Stanley, is this new law a good one?
I'm not necessarily a pro-union individual. However, I have worked in represented environments probably for over 10 years. And one of the things that I learned and I truly believe is that if you have a union, you need to have good union relations. And I believe that this new legislation is going against that. And I think it's going to be, maybe I'm extrapolating too much, but one of our biggest challenges in this state is education. And I see that this is another, to me, an indirect way that you can affect the public school system.
How so?
Well, the problem is that you're dealing with, you're degrading the environment, the work environment. You only have so much money that's brought in for education. Now you siphoned off for charter schools. Now you siphoned off for increased security. Now you siphon off for facilities. And so what's going to happen is the public schools are going to have less money to operate on. And to decertify their union, or even to think about that, now you're talking about the working conditions of your teachers. I believe that just by principle, this is the wrong thing to do.
Carlos, what was behind this law? What do you think was behind the passage of this law?
Well, I'd like to wish a happy, belated Labor Day to everyone except the union busters in Tallahassee that passed this law. This law was meant to bust the unions. It was meant to retaliate against the teachers' unions and many others that traditionally support Democrats in elections through campaign contributions. That's why police and fire unions were carved out of this law. They were exempt, which exposes the motivation behind this law. And what we see now is this is totally out of sync with the voters. We know recent polling has shown that a majority of Americans support labor unions. That's 77% of Americans. And it's not hard to understand why. Floridians want the freedom to organize. They know that their unions are going to fight for better benefits and better wages, and they want to secure that freedom to be able to get ahead, especially in Florida, where we're seeing inflation continues to be a problem in our state compared with other states, and we're seeing soaring costs, and having better wages and better benefits, which our unions fight for, is something that will help put more money in workers' pockets.